Nice to meet you, Frida.
Nice to meet you too. You stay nice and cool.
Yeah, I'm doing my best to. Yeah, hence the shutters are drawn. Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
it's not easy. Well, congratulations on the film. I saw it at the London Film Festival last year,
All right.
and I absolutely loved it. You must be so pleased it's getting a cinema release.
Thanks very much. I'm really glad you enjoyed it. Yeah, I mean, I feel deeply privileged and lucky to be getting a cinema release, and that people have had such faith in the film to stick it into cinemas. Yeah, it could have definitely gone another way, but yeah, it's feels great.
So, how does it feel to be responsible for all those people at the London Film Festival who were crying their eyes out at the end? Because it's all going to happen again when the film comes out, all that runny mascara.
Uh, yeah, yeah. Someone said to me after the London Film Festival there wasn't a dry mask in the house, which I suppose is a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I apologise a little bit, but hopefully it means that the film has moved people in a good positive way.
Sorry, but not sorry.
Yeah, sorry, not sorry, essentially.
I think, though, it is a film that's going to strike a chord with an awful lot of people because of their own experience, either direct or indirect. I wondered if it was based on any experiences of your own. I mean, where did the story start?
Yeah, it's a very personal film, and it started with a couple of experiences that I had involving young onset dementia, which were kind of one of them was quite sort of odd, really. I was working with a lady in her 50s, and I worked with her for a year. And over the course of that year, she changed hugely, and she got fired from where we were working. And about 6 months later, I found out that she had been diagnosed with young onset dementia. So what I'd been watching, unbeknownst to her or I, was the dementia changing her, in front of our eyes almost. And that was really profoundly moving, and it made me want to learn more about dementia because I didn't know enough about it just as a person, a human. So I did quite a lot of research, a couple of years at least of working for charities, and it was just one of the most profound moments of my life, really, working with all of those people and being allowed into that world. And the film is inspired. It is inspired by that.
So, the film is about dementia, but I wondered how much you would say that it's also about love.
I think the film is about love. I think the film is about love, and dementia is the context to that love. I think what I found deeply moving spending time with people is really how dementia changes love. How it changes the dynamics of a relationship. I think that is really moving and complex, and it is something that I found, was definitely inspiring. And I think, I think the film is a really romantic film. It's a love story and an elegy at the same time. That's sort of always what I had in mind.
Your first film as a director and writer was Hinterland, and that concentrated very much on two people. Now, Supernova isn't quite a two-hander, but apart from one sequence, it's pretty much all Sam and Tusker. And I wondered what the attraction was for you as a director and a writer of making a film that has such a tight focus.
Well, the first film was it was a necessity, really, because we didn't have any money and we couldn't pay any other actors. So it was kind of about making a story that we could actually make.
Nothing to do with creativity or anything like that at all. No.
I'm joking only a little bit. I think I do have that kind of intimate focus is something that I'm really interested in as a filmmaker. Yeah, clearly. I mean, I think certainly with both films, there are other people in this film, but I think it lives and dies on the sort of authenticity of that of that central relationship. So I think that's just my taste perhaps as a filmmaker. To some degree, I think it comes partly because I suppose I'm an actor as well. That's my training, if you like, is doing that. So the sort of person to person into human connection is what I kind of want to sort of drill down into, I suppose. I guess that's true.
So, how does your background as an actor influence your style as a director? I mean, how would you describe your style?
That's a very good question. Well, I think it's important that whatever film you're making, the style of how you make it adapts project to project. So I don't think there's a one style necessarily I would say that I will always carry through in my films if I'm lucky enough to make more films. But I think certainly character is everything for me. I think it starts with character, it ends with character. I think, with this film, certainly it was sort of complexity of character and, simplicity of narrative. I think that's one thing that I find with my work. I think, and that does stem from being an actor. I want to create complex, nuanced, challenging characters that I would like to play myself, I suppose, if ever given the opportunity. So that's certainly something that will continue in the way I work, and yeah, to sort of in a way not get in the way of that. Sometimes I think sometimes you put your director's ego aside and just actually go, what's the best thing for these characters and this story? And in this case, it was to be restrained and observatory and natural, patient, I suppose.
And you've got two wonderful lead actors in Colin Firth and Stanley Tucci. I mean, they're so natural together. It's really hard to believe that they've never worked together before. How did you get them involved?
Yeah, it's always nice to work with unknowns, I suppose. They have actually worked together before, but only slightly. I mean, they met doing a film called Conspiracy just over 20 years ago, which was about the Nazi Weimar conference or whatever it was, fancy conference. Which perfect setup for this kind of this. Kind of but I mean, we were really lucky to get them both, and they just signed up in the end quite quickly when we'd sent the scripts to them, because they just, I guess, just really liked the story and really loved the characters. They fell in love with the characters. I think you can't ask for more than that as a writer. And they've known each other for 20 years, and that relationship, that love they have, really informs what you see on screen. It's there's definitely an extra layer of authenticity and emotional depth because they love each other. I think that's definitely true.
It's a beautiful partnership on screen, and behind the camera, you've got Dick Pope, who of course is Mike Leigh's DP of choice, really. I wondered how that came about, because of course you were in Me and Orson Welles, and he was the DP for that. So I wonder if it kind of started there.
Well, it did in a way. I mean, that was a long time ago, and I loved working with Dick, but I didn't know him after that. We didn't stay in touch or whatever. But then when when we got into a position where, we were casting around for cinematographers, he was someone that I was really interested in talking to, because I had worked with him before a long time ago and enjoyed it. But also, Mike Leigh's work is massively inspirational to any filmmaker. I think, the way he makes films, what his films are about, the performances he gets from his actors, all of that stuff. And Dick is a really active part of that. I think he's an incredible cinematographer technically, obviously, but also just the ability to capture performances in a raw state is as much, I would say, down to him and where he puts the camera or doesn't put the camera and how he uses it, as it is anyone else on Mike's films. And it was certainly like that for us. Dick's just a very lovely guy, and we had a really nice collaboration. Yeah.